reintroduce myself. So again, my name is Jennifer Heinrich. I am a study abroad advisor with the Office of International Affairs at UC Merced. And today I'm joined by my colleagues, academic advisors from the School of Natural Sciences, and they're here to discuss studying abroad specifically for natural science majors. So the session is really theirs. So I'm going to pass the baton over to them to let them introduce themselves, but I'll kind of just fade into the background and answer questions as needed. So yeah, off to you all.
Awesome. So hi, everyone. My name is Marisela. We are excited to do this presentation. So are you interested in studying abroad as an NS major? So in our School of Natural Sciences, we do have the 5 majors. We have biological sciences, chemistry, physics, applied mathematics, and environmental system sciences, formerly known as Earth System Sciences. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Jen. And I think, Jen, if you want to go ahead and get us started and then let me know when to move forward on the next slide.
Good afternoon. My name is Jen Souza, and I am another academic advisor for natural sciences. And I'm actually the advisor for everything but bio. So that would include ESS, chem, physics, math, the minors for physics, math, and chem, and then pre-health as well. So our goal here today is to talk about, like, we really want to encourage students to study abroad while they can. It's a great opportunity. And part of our goal is to not only encourage you to study abroad, but also to kind of assist you with trying to hopefully make some progress in your degree, because it isn't always possible depending on the different programs you're looking at. Part of the big part of studying abroad is the experience itself, but ultimately we'd also like to figure out a way to try to help you within your major so that you don't necessarily have to extend your stay at UC Merced. However, if that's what you want, that's what we want to encourage you to do too, because I wish I studied abroad, I'll be honest. I want to go abroad now as it is. So go ahead and move over, Montella. So kind of already talked about that. So, and you'll notice like the little flags, that the different slides that we have, you notice the flags that we have. And so these flags are actually representing some of the popular countries that some of our students have gone to. And so we definitely want to encourage and expand that. So this is, most of these countries are places that are very commonly attended, but that doesn't mean that you can't find other places to attend. But some of the things we want you to consider. So first and foremost, what country and program are you interested in? So some countries are going to be better suited for certain majors. So for instance, you have the flag of Australia and New Zealand there. And the reason why those flags are on there is because a lot of our ESS students actually go to one of those countries because they have a really big ecological and environmental program. And so you actually get that opportunity to make some progress within your degree, but also, you know, get to experience the countries themselves. It's also pretty, could be really popular for bio students that are eco and evo emphasis. Another question to ask, are you wanting to take courses for your major and or general education requirements? And so again, depending on when you plan on studying abroad. So if you plan on studying when you're already like a junior or senior, that does make it a little bit more limiting on getting a one-to-one articulation for courses. So that's why sometimes maybe having some general education requirements that need to be fulfilled, that can be more commonly done. We have a lot of articulation in place for a lot of lower division, like physics courses, some of the math courses. So that's something that we like to plan ahead of time. So we definitely want to encourage students very early on in their academic career to consider if you want to study abroad and then start looking into these things. When are you interested in studying abroad? So another thing that comes into play that's really big that students don't necessarily realize is that for like my majors, math, chem, physics, and ESS, all the upper division courses are fall, spring sequential. And they're also very much about prerequisites. So when you plan on studying is going to definitely have an impact on your process to degree. So when we start having that conversation, again, my goal is to try to help you maximize as much as you can prior to going to go to study abroad, but also trying to prevent maybe a long stay at UC Merced. However, if studying abroad equals that, that's okay too. But ultimately, we just want to make sure you're going to have a good time and hopefully, you know, learn something really amazing while you're there. But definitely it's when you go is going to be super important. So we like to have those conversations early on. Are the courses already articulated for your major for where you want to study? So I have students that are kind of on two sides of the coin. So I have some students that pick the country they want to go to based on the interest in that country itself. So they say, you know what, I want to go to Germany. Well, I can't guarantee that Germany or some of the schools you're looking at are going to maybe have, say, ESS classes or things like that. And that's completely okay too, because again, for some students, it's about the experience, about going and learning about other cultures and about experiencing that particular culture and country. And then for some students, they want both. They want to be able to experience the country itself, but also make some progress towards degree. So when and on one of another further slides, we'll kind of show you how we have our list broken down of courses that have been previously articulated. And we actually break it down by major code. So then you can kind of see where other students have studied more. Ultimately, again, we just want to assist you in this progress and this process. So whether you just want to go just because you want to go, or you want to go and you want to study classes for your major, either way, we're here to support you. And then, I guess I kind of already mentioned that. Ultimately, honestly, like I wish I had a chance to study abroad when I was a student. The study abroad office, Jen, and like they're great about making sure that you have everything you need to go to study abroad. They try to start the process very early on. Financial aid works really well along with the study abroad office in order to make sure that it's actually, in some cases, cheaper for you to go study abroad than it is to stay at UC Merced for a semester. So those are all things to kind of consider. But if you definitely have the opportunity, we want to make sure we're here to support you for that.
And then these are some of the resources as well. And Jen can talk more about that because she helps with the articulation side as well. But we wanted to make sure that we had that spreadsheet. So we do have public spreadsheets that we have. So when students submit those course approvals for a country or institution, we definitely post that. And so Jen will work closely with our faculty leads to review courses, and she can talk about more about that process.
So this is this public sheet, and I'll have, oh, thank you, Jen. So this is actually a very public sheet. It is posted on our website, and the study abroad office has access to it. Well, everybody has access to it, basically. Could you, does it go to the page itself, buddy? So just to kind of give you a little overview. So one of the things you'll see at the very top of this, and this is something we have to really stress, we can never guarantee, even if, like, say, for instance, one of our courses has been approved to articulate, like, say you pick a class there and it's physics 9, for instance, or physics 19. I can't guarantee just because we say yes, it's equivalent to our physics 19 that you have met the prerequisites for that particular institution to take that particular class. That's definitely something that has to be examined upon when you're picking your courses. Also, we can never guarantee, and it's not in there, but unfortunately, even as much as we try to plan, we can never always know which classes will be offered at different institutions. So students may plan classes and they don't offer those classes. So that has happened before. But as you can see here, this is the complete list. And so every class that's on this list, if you scroll a little further down for me, Money, every course that's on this list that is not highlighted. So these are all good so far. There's not one on here that is, there we go. So you'll notice right here on the right-hand side, there's a little, I guess, orange or whatever color you want to call it. That means that course was submitted to be reviewed and it was denied. So unless it's shaded like that, then it has been previously approved to articulate. And so what I mean by articulate means that a student has submitted this course and said, okay, I want to take food microbiology at, can you scroll back over to the left, Monty? I can't see what the school is. At Korea University. So if I take that class at Korea University, then the faculty have determined that you'll get some kind of upper division bio elective course credit. So what that means is this. You might be able to use it towards your major, or it may just be units towards the 120 for graduation. However, it is sometimes difficult to get specifically a one-to-one articulation. So that's why it says upper division bio elective, because we don't have a class like that at UC Merced. So we can't have it be directly correlated to one of our other courses. However, you'll see like Math 23 up there, Physics 8 or 18. So that means that it has been shown that those classes are directly equivalent to our courses at UC Merced. So if you were to take Introduction to Multivariable Calculus, then you would get direct Math 23 credit for that course. Please keep in mind about this list, and we update this list as we get new articulations in, this is a comprehensive list of what's been submitted previously. So what that means is there could be more classes out there. So we want to encourage students to explore courses you're interested in and then submit them to be reviewed so that we can expand on this list. So some students may think this is a one size fits all list. It's not. It's always expanding. We want to continue to expand it, and we want to encourage students to continue to submit courses. So if you scroll, can you scroll all the way down to the bottom of the page of this one, Madi? So I guess it's not showing. So in the screen, it doesn't fully show, but right now this, I believe, is the comprehensive list, but we actually have it broken down at the bottom by the major. So we have a tab for physics, we have a tab for ESS, we have a tab for bio, we have a tab for math, and we have a tab for chem. And the reason why we did this was actually Jen's idea. It's because a student may say, hey, I'm thinking about going to Sweden. I'm thinking about going to Lund University. I'm sure it's pronounced better. Moon. So if you're interested in going to that particular school, you can click on that particular tab and see which classes have been articulated for your particular major, for instance. So again, like I mentioned, it's something that's ever evolving. We want to encourage students to submit. However, it does sometimes become difficult, and I'm going to be the devil's advocate here. It does become sometimes difficult because some students can't get their hands on a syllabus until they actually attend the school itself. And a syllabus is what's necessary for the faculty to be able to review for articulation purposes. So that's why when we say we try to do the process early on, is because we try our best to get our hands on those syllabi beforehand. And Jen's actually really good about looking ahead and saying, hey, like, I think this class might be equivalent to Bio 150 or Physics 8 or 9. So she tries to submit those ahead of time so that we can have that articulation in place. But again, go ahead, Madi.
Oh, no, I was just going to add a point for clarification too. So when you see the upper division bio elective 2, that means like on the bio side, as an academic advisor for bio, I can apply this to any of our 5 emphasis for bio. Now, if there's one that says a specific emphasis, like human emphasis, for example, then I can only apply that course to that specific emphasis. So that's good, at least on the bio side, is even if our faculty didn't find a direct articulation, as Jen was saying, but it says upper division bio elective, then that gives me as an academic advisor, like, hey, I can apply this to any emphasis in the emphasis elective area of that emphasis requirement. So I just wanted to point that out, where at least for the bio side, sometimes we do have a little bit more flexibility where I'm able to apply certain courses, or I can even maneuver certain courses if I'm like, oh, this counts for evolution, but you took bio 124. Well, now I can move that down in an emphasis area if that course is an option for that emphasis. Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Madi. Yeah. So ultimately, like just for the greater good, what Madi's trying to say is we do our best to try to maximize your time there. So for any class that you're taking, so we are trying to look for ways to try to maneuver certain courses. And so obviously it's easier for some majors than others. But again, that's why starting the process early is very important. So even if it's a year in advance, that's what we're there for. Also, as part of the process is you have to get your plan approved by your academic advisor. So there's a lot of paperwork within the school, within the international office, but then you also have to come to us and we have to sign off on things. So can you go on the course approval form? So what we're going to show next is, this is what we mean by articulation and submitting courses. So for any course that falls under the category of natural sciences, so that would be our 5 categories. So chem, physics, math, ESS, and bio. So any courses that fall under that umbrella are what are going to be submitted to this particular form on the ns-advising.uc Merced website. Can you scroll a little bit further down, Madi, please? Thank you. So it's just a web form. And basically what we're looking for is your information, because I'm going to be contacting you along with study abroad office usually. But you're going to submit your information here and what the course subject is, the title, how many units. A lot of, we're on the semester system, but honestly, most of the study abroad places are going to be quarter systems. It just kind of depends. And then again, the big one is the course, the upload the syllabus. So I know that the study abroad office will work on it, also try to help you obtain a syllabus if they can. Again, it's not always possible. I've sometimes even like just tried to Google the institution and try to find a syllabus. We do what we can to support you. Now, some students will leave to go study abroad without knowing if classes are approved or not. So we can't always guarantee that we're going to get answers beforehand. However, the earlier you start the process, the better off you'll be Again, that's where it comes into play. If, like, say you can't get your syllabus until you go there, then sometimes you don't have much of a choice. And then, of course, that is a risk that has to be kind of considered. And usually it's the risk that students are willing to take because they do want the experience. And it does right there. So depends on the major. I'm going to be honest, if it's a bio class, it's going to take a little longer to get through, to be reviewed. The other majors, not as much. But we still never want to discourage somebody from exploring this. And even if you don't decide to study abroad, like I said, that list grows. So anything that you submit is going to be potentially helpful for the next student. And again, and that's why we're going step by step about, hey, what can we do to maximize your time while you're there? And also the articulation, all of that stuff. So we try to walk you through the whole process. And so you need not only our support, but you have the support from the study abroad office as well. So common places that our students have studied, and like I mentioned, and so we actually broke it down by major. So I'm going to be honest, there isn't a lot of students for physics that specifically go to a place for physics. Not to say that doesn't exist, but we haven't had a lot of our physics students go because it is harder to articulate one-to-one physics upper division courses. But for ESS, common places are New Zealand, Australia, and Costa Rica. Costa Rica especially has a jungle where things are trying to kill you, but they go anyway. But they warn you ahead of time, don't worry. And you have to get some shots and things like that. So I'm not trying to dissuade you from going, but full disclosure, you're going to get some shots before you go. For math, the common places are going to be Korea, Singapore, France, and Scotland. I also know that there's some places in the UK that have specific math programs. I haven't had a student go yet, but I had a student starting to look into it. For bio, Singapore, Korea, and New Zealand. So there's a lot of crossover sometimes between environmental systems classes and bio classes. And so that's why some students will go to New Zealand. We've had some bio students actually go to New Zealand and get some course credit that way. For Chem, Korea, and then other parts of Europe. And then, like I said, physics is usually England. And then just like we've mentioned before, our list is only comprehensive for those that have submitted. So we know there's tons of countries out there. There's tons of schools out there. There's tons more classes that can be reviewed. So as those classes are being reviewed and either approved or not, that list grows. But again, it's just going to vary. And one of the things I know that it's probably brought up very often in the study abroad office is when you're choosing your courses, there are going to be some programs that have specific courses you have to take. Like I believe I want to say it's a New Zealand program. There's one program in particular that has like the whole courses all planned out. And that thankfully we've had some students take that and they got approved for most of the courses. But some schools are going to require that you take a language course. So I know like, I believe it's Yonsei.
Yeah, they used to, but they dropped that requirement.
Oh,
so
okay.
Required.
Well, that's new because Yonsei made you take Korean while you were there. I don't think it went very well with some of our students. Maybe that's why they dropped it.
Well, take it pass, no pass. You're allowed to take 1/3 of your units pass, no pass.
Oh, they've gotten a little bit more lax over there.
Well, that's UC EAP policy. So you could do 1/3 of your classes pass, no pass. So if you had like a language or a course that you didn't want to devote as much time to, I guess, then that would be your pass, no pass class.
So that's actually a really good point to bring up, Jen. So the pass, no pass option, great for the language potentially, but if it's a major course that's a one-to-one articulation, you do not want to put it on pass, no pass because it may not be accepted. So like, for example, if you found a biochem course and you're a human bio emphasis, they may not accept, even though technically it's a UC course. With COVID right now, they've been accepting pass, no pass, but with study abroad and COVID, maybe. But if it's a regular semester, they're not going to usually accept a pass, no pass option for a major course.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that, Jen. So definitely depending on the emergency continuancy plan from UC Merced and then from faculty leadership too. Anytime there's expectations, right? If there's a grade change policy too, we know once the campus knows in terms of what our faculty decide, if our degree requirements, if we will accept the pass, no pass to meet major specific requirements and emphasis requirements as well. So thank you, Jen, for bringing that up because it's all dependent on what the university decides on what's best for our students. And so sometimes that comes term by term. So depending on if we're still experiencing the pandemic for next semester, we do not know yet if we're still going to be accepting pass, no pass until we hear from our campus leadership. Yep.
So here's our contact information if you have further information. So my email address is jsouza5@ucmerced.edu. And then Mari's is mlendrez2 at ucmerced.edu. And then there's our NS advising website. So we really, again, highly encourage students. It's never too early to start. So you may not be, and the truth is with some study abroad programs, you have to be a certain level and have to have a certain GPA. There's certain requirements that come into play. However, it's never too early to still look into those things. So talk with your academic advisor, work with the study abroad office. And again, you know, obviously post-pandemic, hopefully things will be happening much better much soon. But it's really important to start working with us very early on because we want to be there to support you to make this happen. Do you have anything else, Maddie?
No, and I think we did obviously talk about the courses that we have or the countries that have a lot of articulation, but doesn't mean you have to choose those countries or those programs. You're welcome to choose any country that interests you, any program, as long as you come talk to us, right? So that way we can plan and prepare, especially if you're still second year student and you're needing to go through Jumpstart, this would be a perfect opportunity where we can start laying out that grad plan to see, okay, what's the semester or what's the term that I'm wanting to plan for study abroad. So that way we can make sure like, hey, is course sequencing, how can we best plan those chemistry courses, those bio? As you know, for natural sciences, our courses are very sequential. So we want to make sure that we plan ahead of time for that. But it's not to say that you have to take a degree requirement while studying abroad. It's totally your option. If you feel that you're able to do it, great. We've had students do that, but we've also had students who will go to different countries where they're just meeting either general education or just elective courses to help meet units for graduation. So again, it's all of what you feel comfortable, what country interests you, what program, and what term as well. So as long as you come talk to academic advising, especially study abroad office as well, once students go through that process, you do fill out an academic plan. And so that's where the academic advisors can kind of review what remaining requirements you have listed and how we can plan for study abroad. Yep. Awesome. And then I think Jen from Office of International Affairs here too. I don't know if we want to turn it over. I know we only have a few minutes, but if there's time for questions.
Yeah, I can, if anyone has any questions, I'm here, I can answer them. The reason why, in case you're curious, the reason why Korea is so popular for NS students is just because Korea is popular for every student. So that's one of our top 3 sending destinations for the campus. So most students are into Korea.
Wait, we have to clarify though, it's South Korea.
Yes, but in study abroad, we just call it Korea.
I know, but just in case anybody's curious, it's actually South Korea.
We had we used to do April Fool's jokes every year, and we had a basketball diplomacy program in North Korea one year to see if anybody would fall for our April Fool's joke. You'd be surprised, people fell for it. They wanted to play basketball in North Korea. Okay, so the question that was submitted is usually when are the deadlines, as in around what time do applications open and when do they close? So right now we have applications open for next year. So programs that begin summer 2021 and fall 2021, the applications are open now. So we tend to do that every fall semester at the beginning of the semesters when we open the applications up for next year. The deadlines though for summer and fall start programs are going to be the first week of December. I'm drawing a blank on the deadline at the moment. I want to say it's the 5th. It's the first week. And then we have a second deadline for the majority of our summer and fall start programs, and that's in January, at the end of January. If you're looking to do a spring program, those deadlines are usually in April of every year. But the application is open for that too. It's just so far out, people just don't tend to think about that right now. But technically that application is open now too.
And we didn't mention this, and I mean, we should mention it. So on our website, we are meeting with students remotely. Everybody pretty much is at this point. So we are available for appointments and walk-ins. Right now, as of next week, we'll be on walk-ins until the week of Thanksgiving. But if you have questions related because of the application closing in December, if you have questions about this, Like I said, it's never too early to kind of ask us. Yeah, thank you. There's our list of hours. And so you'll notice there where it says join the Zoom waiting room, those are our walk-ins. And so we those are reoccurring walk-ins throughout the week. And like I said, I'm starting next week, we'll be on walk-ins only. And so we do walk-ins 5 hours a day, 4 days a week. So and you can always even just shoot us an email if you have questions. Typically when you so some students will make the mistake. Mistake's a strong word, but some students will make the mistake of waiting to come to us until they're further in on the process. And we want to kind of discourage that. We want you to be involved with us from the early on. Like so they and sometimes they'll come to us first and then we'll refer them over to the study abroad office. But we want to be part of it because again, we want to make sure that we're giving you the support you need in order to meet your academic needs. And again, and Madi mentioned, like, we're not trying to, just because we identify that those are the places that those particular schools go to, does not mean that we're saying you have to go to those schools. Go to a program, go to a country that you really want to go to. And like I said, whether or not you get called like specific college credit, that's totally up to you and dependent on where you decide to go. So, but still, either way, we still want to help you out. We want to still try to maximize your time there and make sure that you're hopefully picking courses that are going to be of interest and hopefully be available, because I've had that before where a student will pick their entire courses and none of them are available. But I want to, what's the question? Current second year?
Yeah, Stephanie, I mean, that's totally doable. Planning ahead is important. So spring, summer 2022. Gosh, I'm trying to like visualize that number and it's seeming so far away for me right now. So summer of 2022, the application would be open this time next year for you. So the application is not yet even open in our application system, which is just, actually, I'm going to bring it up and pop it in the chat for you. So everybody applies through the My Study Abroad portal. Oh my gosh, like nothing is coming up right now. There we go. Okay. So everyone applies in the My Study Abroad portal for study abroad. You can start researching programs now. Generally, there's not going to be a huge difference in programming year to year. COVID is a unique situation, and so I may contradict myself with that statement because next year the programs may be different than they are this year. But generally speaking, programs don't like drastically change. They don't wipe out all the programs year to year. So what you find in the My Study Abroad portal, the programs that are listed there are probably going to be the ones that are available when you're wanting to study abroad spring or summer 2022. Keep in mind though that if you do want to do spring 2022, the deadline for that one will be different. So that'll be April 2021. That'll be the deadline for that. And summer 2022 will be December, January 2021. So you can definitely start looking and researching now. There are a ton of programs out there. Korea is mine. So I like as far as advising goes. So I tend to push that a lot. Also Singapore, I think it's generally an awesome location for any natural science or even sometimes engineering students. And so that tends to be like on my top list of programs that I tend to advertise a lot. And so that might be why there's such like a high volume of people going, but there's so many programs and opportunities out there way beyond those two locations. So definitely, read, see what's out there and start planning early because there is so much choice. And that's really the hard part, is making a decision where to go. When you have 50 great options, how do you narrow your list down to one? It's challenging. And so I tend to just help students identify what their goals are. Like, why do they even want to go abroad in the first place? And understanding what your goals are is what's going to help you narrow it down, because not every program is going to be the same. I mean, the courses will be different, but even the things down to like housing, the housing situation will be different program to program. And so a lot of students say they want the cultural immersion, but maybe the program that they were kind of eyeing only has, maybe students have to live in international student dorms. Would you get the same cultural experience if you're living in international student dorms versus, like local student dorms? I mean, or even a homestay? Like the experience will be slightly different. or if you're in class with just international students only. A lot of summer programs are like that, where you're just in class with international students. If you want a cultural immersion, but you're only meeting other foreigners, will you get that? Will that be the same experience? So there's a lot of factors in deciding which program's the best fit for you, but really it just comes down to your goals and what you want to experience. What do you want to get out of studying abroad? And we want you to get the most bang for your buck, right? So identifying what you want to get out of the experience will help you find the right program. Does anybody else have any other questions? No? Okay, well, thank you. Thank you, Jen. Thank you, Maricela, for your time. And if anybody does have any questions, you can always follow up with us later to the Study Abroad office. I put in a link to our contact page. We're everywhere also. Zoom, like every social media platform we're on, and we're actively on. So Teams, everything, like the ways that you can contact us these days is out of control, really. But thank you all, and talk to you all later.
Bye, all. Thank you.